Hey everybody, this is Trevor, and you're watching my channel, Social Dilemma. And, surfing around the net and getting, information and whatnot. And what I've come up with a lot in the past few weeks, at least, is it all coming to an end? Is the world about to crash? And there are some things, there's some cycles that are lining up. And there is the economic and war cycles. There's a 7 year economic cycle where, economies go down about every 7 years. It's not, an exact day or anything like that, but it's about every 7 years. And you will find that the economies go down about every 7 years, and it's it can be really harsh, like 2008, 1990, and 1929. There are some major economic crashes, and 2008, obviously major crash, and then 2015 you can have a slight dip in there, and so now we're back on that time frame again for the end of the 7 year cycle. And unless you've been living in a cave, I can tell you here where I'm living in Canada, we are in a recession. Gas prices from March until even now, they have gone down slightly, but not enough that we've got to play catch up with all those prices, the high fuel prices. We're going to be a big recession. This is going to be, I feel, worse than 2008, 1989. It's probably going to be like a 1929 stock market crash. And we are heading into that 7 year cycle's now coming to fruition, and it's here. And the other cycle, and I'll talk more about that as well, but I just want to bring in the other cycle, is an 80 year war cycle. And especially if you look back to through American history as well. America is like the modern day Rome. Okay, if people think I'm pointing this out too much, or you're Canadian, why do you look? America is the economic engine of really the world, and it's the modern day Rome. So, but Canada does fall into some of these cycles as well too. And the last major 80-year war cycle was obviously World War II. With the exception of World War One, was obviously just previous to that. Does not fall into the 80-year war cycle, but World War Two was obviously more and a larger event, especially for America, Russia, everybody around the world. Okay, it's a larger war. So, and if you look back into the American history, 80 years. So you got World War Two, American Revolution, American Civil War, and all. You look back through there, even so through the world as well too. The 80-year war cycle can play into the world as well, but especially into America, which is it's the modern day Rome. So we have to follow that rule to look into that cycle. But especially, they're still a powerhouse, and they are falling into the 7 year economic cycle. And it's going to be a rough one, people. Come on, if you can't see how rough it is, again, you must be living in like Sasquatch in a cave or something. And the 80-year war cycle. So you got those two things floating around the internet, which is making me think, oh boy, it's coming to an end. Things are crashing. You have other things around. I made a video just a few days ago about there was a fella in the German parliament saying that September 24th, 2022 is a day that everyone around the world will remember where they were at. Okay? Something to maybe, take with a grain of salt, but it's there. Just recently, the Serbian president has come out and said, it's SHTF is going to hit the fan in the next 2 weeks. Something major, very major is going to happen. And again, 7-year economic cycle, 80-year war cycle. I'm just reading some notes here, so if I'm looking down, it's just some notes here. Another thing, too, within the last few days, Putin has now built up. It's like it seems like the news was portraying him as pulling out a bit, but now Vladimir Putin, if you don't know who he is, I mean, come on, has now put in 300,000 more troops into Ukraine, and he's not taken the nukes off the table. That threat of nuclear war is still there. Um, I don't think I don't know. In my lifetime, I'm 50 years old, so I've lived with, the threat of nuclear war my entire life since I was born in 1972. But I don't know. I'm not really going to play into that one too much. But he is mobilizing 300,000 more troops to Ukraine. I think he's he is a tiger with its back up against the wall, and there's a pack of dogs surrounding him, and he's gonna go all balls out, I think now, and just without the nuke. I don't think nuke is gonna happen, but hey, who knows, right? We're in two cycles that are lining up, and that's a very bad thing and when your economies are crashing, and you have threats of more these nukes aren't off the table. So we're coming into an 80-year war cycle. I mean, this is absolutely something to look out for, people. What else do I have? I mean, those major things right there. So, what can we do? I mean, I've been, I've been saying for months now, I hope everybody's stocking up on obviously supplies like food, water, getting as many of your medical supplies in bulk that you can get. Tools for hunting, tools for whatever you need to maintain your home, for self-defense, whatever. Getting those stocked up. I've heard people pulling cash out of the bank, and that's a run on the bank, and I do not advise that. I mean, have enough money in the bank account to, you got to cover your bills and whatnot. But I really think if something was going to come to an end at the end of this month, September, I don't know, would it matter if you had a ton of cash in the bank anyways? Probably not. You're better off having $200 worth of canned beans in your basement and $200 in your bank. If the world went into began its 80-year war cycle again, you'd be better off having $200 of canned beans in your basement than you would in the bank. Just, it's going to be something you're going to need. We all need to eat, and possibly could trade with people. So I don't see how pulling cash out of the bank is going to work. It would maybe work for a day or two if things start crashing around the world. Maybe going into your Walmart and they're saying, hey, the debit machines are down, whatever. Maybe some kind of cyber attacks. Haven't heard that lately, but it's always on the table. Cyber attacks. People could take out financial institutions. The interwebs go down. So, having cash on hand, it's going to work for a few days, but how long do businesses take cash before they realize that, it's an SHTF situation? So I don't know what. I just, again, keep your preps up. Keep bottled water on hand. Not only, like, if you have kids too. I've got a 9-year-old daughter and she likes to drink juice, so I've been stocking up on things like Tang, Gatorade, juices, primarily like apple juice in the Tetra Packs that have a longer shelf life. Because my daughter drinks juice, we buy her really good organic, blueberry and mango and kiwi and all that kind of juice. But it has to be refrigerated, right? It only has a certain life to it. But I've got at least, I've got a lot of supply of Tang and Tetra packs of juice, so she likes them. She will drink them, so that's there. Because kids, you got to prepare, and when you're preparing, if you have kids, you got to think about all their needs, like toys and whatnot. I mean, you got to have that. The food that they like, the drinks. Like I could go 30 days and just eat beans and rice and drink water. I drink, other than coffee. I mean, I just drink coffee and water. Or at least my liquids that I consume. But you got kids again. Make sure you're stocking up on things that they will enjoy. And like say, I got Tang, powdered Tang. My daughter enjoys that. I obviously bought one to see if she would like it at first, and she said, "Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good." So that you got to keep things to help them. Have some chocolate on hand. I hear a lot of people, you talk about storing the quintessential beans and rice. Okay, stock up on chocolate too. If you can find chocolate on sale, it's kind of hard right now, but stock up on some chocolate. I think the shelf life of chocolate, from what I've heard, is maybe 6 months. Again, if you could vacuum seal it, it's going to last even longer. But have some of that chocolate on hand, and that a bite of chocolate can go a long way even for an adult, but it can go a lot longer, a lot farther when you have a child and they're crying and they want something. So a nice piece of chocolate. So those are some things to look out for. But yeah, I'm really finding again, since I made my video about the German Parliament announcing that it's this Saturday, so this Saturday, September 24th, 2022, that something's going to happen so big that everyone in the world is going to remember where they were. And it'll be like a 9/11 kind of event. Or there's no one around alive really that would remember where they were the day Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. I mean, a day of infamy, they called it. So people would remember that day. I remember, even as a Canadian, I remember where I was on 9/11. It was, I believe, a Tuesday, and it was a sunny day where I was living in at that time in southern Ontario, Canada. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I still remember 9/11. I can remember that day. I remember taking my dog to the park. I clearly remember that day. Conversations with people. So, anyways, German Parliament has that's something. And now the Serbian president. Serbia is, should we be concerned with Serbia? A smaller country, but hey, they're in the thick of things right now. They're over there, pretty close there to Ukraine and Russia and, Eastern Europe and obviously Europe as well. So maybe they know something. And again, it has been reported, Putin, 300,000 troops now. He's going to remobilize to push into Ukraine. And he's saying nukes are still on the table, so not something good to look at. Definitely the economic and war cycles have me concerned because they are lining up. They're both lining up for the end of this month, beginning of October. You got the 7-year economic cycle. It just, sometimes you don't even know it's here. When economic cycles like the dot-com busts of the beginning of this century, 2008. I can quite clearly remember the early 90s here in Canada. And housing prices, somewhere around the late 90s too, seem to be something to do with housing as well. But I can certainly remember 1989 into the early 90s here in Canada, that economic downturn. And, any further back, I can ask my dad about, the 1970s and 1980s. And he can clearly remember in the early 80s, we lived in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And he said, they had friends that would take their keys for the house and put them on the counter, and basically they packed up a U-Haul and left. Okay, that's how bad it was. The SNL savings and loan scandals, mortgage interest rates through the roof. So my dad, we talk about this quite a bit. I know in England, in the late '60s, they're having a recession that hit there, and that moved into the United States. So these things again happen about every 7 years, and the major war events happen about every 80 years. And again, your last major war, World War II, like 80 years ago. And then again, if you move into the American history, uh, Civil War, American Revolution, major wars. Um, and again, don't scoff at just it's just America. Well, you know what? America is the new Rome, and they are the economic engine of the world. Obviously, there's other engines in this world that are running as well, China and I wish we could have brought Russia into the economic prosperity role when they ended communism in at least took down their wall in 1989. I think it's a tragic mistake that we didn't bring them in and trade, because trade is the lifeblood of civilizations. Okay, when nations stop trading, other nations, well, they'll trade you with their bullets and bring in their military. Okay, so yeah, trade, lifebloods of civilization. Because with trade, sometimes you can sit and you trade well enough with people, you invite them in for dinner and whatnot. And perfect example, the Silk Highway, that ran from China all the way to Afghanistan. So trade routes established, and you trade with people. I mean, for the most part, you want to be a good trader, not a traitor, but a trader of goods and services. Because if you're not, people will eventually find out, and you'll be put out of business. So that's part of the economic cycle. Trading, when it comes to a halt, not good. More, I know there's more economic, less trading going on with Russia, and obviously now the war, embargoes and whatnot like that. I really think we should have been bringing Putin into the fold, or not just Putin, but Russia into the fold. you know, 30 years ago. I don't didn't really happen. Maybe it was their fault too. Okay, but now we're at where we're at here. We're two cycles are now lining up: economic and war cycle, and I think we're in for a real SHTF situation coming up. And again, I mean, we are in a recession. I mean, you talk to anybody around the world, and they're like, "Gee, how is it when you go and buy groceries now?" And I'm unless you are billionaire, millionaire, or you've got $900,000 in the bank. And I do have some friends that are like, oh, they don't really notice it too much. They're making good money, but at some point, everybody will notice that. And if we have some kind of major economic crash and a war coming in, a major 80-year war cycle, I don't think it'll matter how much money you really got. Because, like I say, you could pull $1 million out of the bank and it'll be like the German Weimar Republic, when, there's stories of people with shoeboxes and wheelbarrows full of cash, and it's worthless, and they're basically getting a soup and sandwich and a glass of water for like a wheelbarrow full of money. So that happened in Germany, and that was after World War One. So I don't know, folks. I don't know what to really say. Is it all coming to an end? Is it all going to crash? I certainly don't have any positive vibes on. I can't, it's not going to just all of a sudden next week, next few days be sunny and roses everywhere. Gas prices where I'm at. If you're in Canada, in the past 6 months, we're up to $2.10 per liter. here in southern Ontario. Now they're down to about a buck 50, buck 45 per liter. So if you're an American, multiply that buck 50 or the 210 that we were paying by 3.79, and that's how much you would get per gallon. And then do exchange rate. Canadian dollar is only worth 70 cents to the American dollar. So, I mean, Canada, we're getting hit. We're getting hit slammed hard with inflation. Uh, and I think the romantic love affair that we had with the summer here in Canada is over. It's now September 22nd, and for the first time since the springtime here, I got my sweatpants on today. I mean, the shorts are put away. It's not shorts and t-shirt season. So, yeah, if anyone had any extra cash this summer, or if you didn't, you racked up your credit cards because you were just absolutely tired of the cerveza sickness of 2 years of, slapping things on your face and shoving things in here. And I mean, you spent your money, and now it's really going to come home to roost now. So definitely that 7-year economic cycle, we're gonna hit big time, man. It's gonna be like 2008, turn of the century, late 80s, early 90s, 70s gas shortages, and it's gonna be all wound up into one greasy ball. And I don't mean to laugh at it because it's hitting my family. It's hitting everybody, and I'm not laughing about it. I'm just pointing out it's going to be an absolute massive recession, and the 80-year war cycle absolutely scares the shit out of me because Einstein once said World War. I'm paraphrasing, but he's something to the effect like he knows that World War III, if it's fought with nuclear weapons, he knew for sure. He said, World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones. So, and that's a scary thought, especially I was a father and I have a 9-year-old child, and you got psychopaths in the world here dictating how our fucking lives are led, and I'm sick and tired of this. The Putins, the Bidens, the Trudeaus, the Marcones, the Jacintas, and all these other assholes running the goddamn world, Klaus Schwab's, thinking that they can go around and do all this. And they probably got their bunkers, a kilometer down under the ground bunkers. So if they light off a nuclear war, hey, all these people are fine. It's people like myself that are going to suffer. 95 at least percent of the world and more will suffer through all this. Well, you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, Trudeau's and Biden's and Putin's and all these, Boris Johnsons of the world and all the royal family. They all got silver spoons in their mouths, and they'll be just fine. And then their plush underground bunkers, but here we are. Now here I am buying cans of zoodles and mixed cans of beans and bags of rice, trying to hedge the inflation because I know that even a bag of rice that I just bought for a 17-pound bag of rice is now $17. I can tell you, last Christmas I think it was just under $13 for 17 pounds. So here I am, though, trying to stalk it because, this is a scary time to be in, especially when you start to see all these economic and war cycles. They're lining up, people. So do yourself a favor. Be prepared. Don't pull your cash out of the bank, but, I mean, if you could pull any extra cash out of the bank right now in the next few days, I guess, and maybe buy a bag of rice or something. I don't know. It wouldn't hurt to do it. It wouldn't hurt to do it, people. Worst case scenario, you got a lot of rice to eat. Oh, well, that's fine. But we're going to need it, folks. We're in a recession, and it's that 80-year... doesn't have to be just the precise, it's 80 years, we have to have a war, but it seems that way. But definitely the war cycle, I mean, that's a major one. If Putin Biden does something, China does something, man, it's gonna be nasty. I mean, I think people living through World War II were probably shitting bricks. I think we'll be shitting houses, or shitting shit houses if World War III breaks out. So I don't know, people. Is it all coming to an end? Economically, yes. War, I hope not. I hope not. But stay prepared, people, and I don't know. Just stay free and do what you feel is right to take care of your little corner of the world, and just do your thing and stay free, and just that's all I can really think of for now on this video. And yeah, okay, folks. So anything past here is just rambling, and I'm starting to ramble. So I love you all. Peace out. Stay free.